Imagine two men standing in the rain. The first holds a massive bucket, representing a high salary, but the container is riddled with holes. The wealth pours out just as fast as it enters, leaving him exhausted, stressed, and broke by the end of the storm. Struggling with money despite a high income is a psychological failure, not a mathematical one. We focus on the size of the bucket while ignoring the leaks. Modern commerce relies heavily on frictionless spending. Corporations spend billions designing one-click checkouts and contactless payments to bypass your critical thinking centers, allowing you to spend without ever feeling the loss. In this environment, a higher income only accelerates the speed you waste your life's energy. Without a way to patch the holes, you're simply pouring more water into a failing system. Behavioral scientists identify a neurological response called the pain of paying. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers a literal sense of loss. You literally feel the trade-off in real time. Digital transactions are designed to numb this pain. By tapping a card or clicking a button, you remove the sensory feedback of spending. You don't process the damage until the monthly statement arrives, but by then, the choices are already set in stone. Trying to fix a digital spending habit with another automated app often fails because it keeps the money invisible. The software does the thinking for you, which prevents you from actually retraining your brain. To protect our wealth from these invisible drains, we must intentionally reintroduce physical, uncomfortable friction into our daily financial lives. In 1904, as Japan rapidly modernized, journalist Hani Motoko introduced a solution to this rising consumerism, the Kakebo. Kakebo is a physical household ledger, a system of pen and paper that rejects spreadsheets in favor of a slow, mindful philosophy of accounting. This creates writing as resistance. When you are forced to physically ink the words latte, fixed dollars and 50 cents onto a page, your brain stops to evaluate the transaction. You have to decide if the item was worth the literal effort of recording it. The Kakebo formula creates artificial scarcity. Instead of saving whatever is left over at the end of the month, you subtract your savings goal from your income immediately. You then survive only on the remainder. This forced scarcity drives creativity. When you limit your available spending from the start, you naturally begin to prioritize true needs over impulsive wants. Expenses sort into 4 vessels: survival for rent, optional for dining, culture for books, and extra for repairs. Logging daily forces confrontation. Writing down a $50 bar tab the morning after provides a sting, preventing a repeat tonight. To master the optional bucket, Kakebo practitioners often use physical envelopes of cash. This creates an absolute limit. When the envelope is empty, the spending stops. There is no credit card to bridge the gap, which forces instant impulse control. For larger, non-essential purchases, the system uses a 30-day delay. You write the item on a wish list and wait. This cooling-off period reveals if the desire was a true need or just a temporary reaction to stress or boredom. These analog tactics systematically dismantle the brain's dopamine shopping loop, replacing mindless consumption with intentional, calculated action. As the Kakebo ledger makes the cost of new purchases more visible, you naturally find yourself looking for ways to avoid those expenses. This awareness leads to monozukuri, a deep respect for the things you already own. By repairing a shirt or polishing old shoes instead of replacing them, you actively rebel against the disposable consumer economy. This chart reveals the true definition of wealth, the mathematical gap between what you earn and what you spend. Man A earns a fortune, but spends it all, leaving him with 0 wealth. Man B earns a modest income, but keeps a large gap, granting him true freedom. Every dollar preserved in that gap is a tiny employee hired to buy back your future time. Saving purchases your independence. Mastering your spending transfers ownership of your time from your employer back to you. The wider the gap, the sooner you own your life. A Kakebo ledger is an unforgiving mirror. Your spending history provides the only honest proof of your values, regardless of what you claim is important to you. Take the 7-day Kakebo challenge. Put away the budgeting apps for 1 week and physically write down every single cent you spend on a piece of paper. At the end of the week, review the list and circle your dopamine expenses, those small, impulsive wants, in red ink. This act finally makes the invisible drains on your wealth visible. Financial freedom doesn't start with a lottery ticket or a CEO's salary. It begins with the mindful friction of a pen and a notebook.